Why Trust Love Unveil how to trust and be transformed.
And we'll be right back after this.
Welcome to Loving Beyond the I Do podcast. This power couple is building stronger marriages one day at a time. Talking about real issues on love, relationships, and marriage longevity. Let's break down the barriers and engage in healthy conversation with your hosts, Jason and Tina Marie. Take a seat and buckle up because things are about to get real.
Welcome to Loving Beyond the I Do podcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Why Trust Love. I'm Jason, along with my beautiful wife, Tina.
Marie, that's me.
We are your life and relationship coaches, speakers, and gurus in transforming your relationship.
That's right.
Today, we're discussing essential parts of the foundation of every successful marriage: trust and transparency.
All right. So trust and transparency is very important, but trust is one of the main building blocks of a healthy relationship. And transparency is the bridge that keeps us connected, right?
Yeah.
So when we say trust and transparency, what does that mean in the context of marriage?
Oh, man, that's something to think about there.
Throughout the podcast, we encourage you to actively participate, share your experiences, and ask questions to engage with your hosts during our live conversations.
So where can you find us? We're on social media, so look us up at Legendary Relationship. We're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and also YouTube. And they're all at Legendary Relationship. Or you can hit us up on our website at legendaryrelationship.com. Over there, we have resources, old podcasts, all the information that you might need at legendaryrelationship.com. So check us out. All right, so let's go ahead and get into this first part here, baby.
Talking about trust and transparency. Can you trust me enough to see me?
Ooh, really?
All right.
We're talking about trust.
That's right.
All right, here we go. Trust can be summed up as a firm belief in reliability,
Yes.
truth, and the ability of your partner. It's the sense of security that allows couples to be vulnerable without fear.
Okay.
Yeah. I have to agree with that, right?
Yep.
Yeah. It's believing in each other when circumstances sometimes may warrant something different. Holding true to who and what you know about them to be, despite appearances.
All right.
Okay.
Right. Don't look at appearances. Judge not according to appearances. Absolutely.
100%.
So transparency, on the other hand, is openness and honesty in communication. Mm-hmm. It's about you sharing your thoughts, your feelings, your actions, your emotions without a hidden agenda.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
Most people have that hidden agenda when
For
they want to talk. Right? Or being able to be open and share all those things when it's difficult. So you have to be willing to share things about yourself, your true feelings, your true insecurities, and not worry about the hesitation of being judged or what you should or shouldn't say, or what you may regret later. How much can I tell and how much should I hold back? Right? So for the couples out there, opening up to your partner in ways that scare you, but it gives you a sense of peace of mind because now you're sharing and creating that safe space as a couple, which now is creating that intimate connection that you hope to get for through trust and transparency.
So it's okay to be a little scared. That's what you're saying.
Most people are scared. They're scared to open up because either of past hurts or they've been let down before or it slapped them in the face. So we have to make sure when we're establishing this trust and this transparency that we're creating safe spaces for people to indulge with each other and to be open and honest without the fear of it coming back.
Sure. Yeah. Speaking of,
Excuse me.
yeah, no problem. Would you like some water? Because I
No,
have
no.
you some this week. I didn't forget the water this week.
All right. No.
All right. So these elements are crucial. Yeah, you may ask yourself, well, why are they so crucial? Well,
Why are they so who?
crucial.
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 All right.
Okay. Well, trust and transparency creates an environment where intimacy can flourish, resiliency is established, and a
Okay.
strong foundation for a lasting love that is built to last. Just like the automobile, built to last.
Like Ford?
Forward.
Built to last?
Built to last.
Right. So if it's built to last, if your relationship is built to last, right? Because we need something that's built to last, because we know that we need built to last for those tough jobs and situations that relationships sometimes find themselves in.
built tough.
That's right. My headphone doesn't want to stay in. So what have you built your foundation? What have you built your relationship out of? And can it last in the face of challenges and adversity? Can you? So that's what you need to ask. If a really crucial challenge comes up, have we built a foundation that's strong enough to withstand it? And I think that's the most important thing. So for you guys out there, we want to know, what is your level of trust and transparency on a scale of 1 to 10? How would you rate your relationship foundation? Right? And
You want to ask me that question or no?
no. No, I don't.
No, you don't? Okay.
No, well, I won't, because I know it's a 10. So
Okay.
there's no sense in me asking.
Hey, if you already know the answer, then you don't have to ask the question.
So if you're below a 5, then maybe we should recommend the tool. We know we always give you tool techniques and things like that.
I think
So
it'll be great. I got one, I think. The relationship journal.
you know, we always love the journal. So I know people say they're always talking about journaling. Journaling is essential because it helps you to create a safe space within yourself to put down your thoughts without, being judged, right? Because you're being true. It creates you to be honest. But with this one, with the relationship journal, we usually encourage couples to start a relationship journal together. And the difference between this one is that it creates a shared space so that you can write down your feelings and your experiences, but then you share them with your mate. You write down your thoughts in your journal, your mate writes down their thoughts in their journal, and then you exchange the journal, and then you read them regularly so that this can build trust through open communication. Now your mate has an opportunity to read your thoughts and how you feel without maybe a dialogue in between, where they can just see how you feel without
Any judgment?
or most of the time we say we listen to respond.
Right.
So there's nothing to respond to.
Yeah.
So once you guys have exchanged this and you've looked at each other's journal, it now opens up a space for you to honestly and openly communicate about your feelings about certain areas that maybe you didn't know before. So that's the tool we would recommend, the relationship journal.
I like that. And you know what? It kind of goes in part with another one tool. It's not our tool, but it's let me think.
It's one that we use.
It's one that we use. It's Love Map.
That is
Love
one that we
Maps
use.
from the Gottman Institute.
Okay.
Which is, it's an exercise that partners use to share their inner words, and with each other. Couples answer questions about each other's likes and dislikes and life goals. This builds trust by fostering a deeper understanding of each other, learning the person that you are married to. Now,
I think.
so go ahead.
No,
So
no,
I said that kind of goes hand in hand. So we're going to journal our thoughts.
Right.
And then we share those thoughts with each other. But then the other part, like I said, the love map, you talk about your likes, your dislikes, and your life goals. So it's a totally different, it could be, it's sort of similar, but it's different in a sense, because one is just talking about likes, dislikes, and life goals. Journaling is your thoughts. Whatever your thoughts may be, that may be going on, may be different. You may not be thinking about likes and dislikes and life goals. It may be something else.
Yeah, there's a lot of things going on.
Right.
But I think one of the key things that you said in that is that you get to know your partner now.
Yes.
Oftentimes, the person that you married or the person that you met 5 years ago, 10 years ago, we change according to the situations and circumstances that life brings to us. So one thing when we're talking about trust is that trust is a very delicate thing. It's very delicate, like an egg, right? It's so delicate that you have to be careful because if you make one wrong move, it breaks, right?
Yep.
So trust is one of those things that it takes time to build, but only moments to destroy. Wow. It can be, your whole life can be destroyed in the moment of in the moment of a second. Does that make, in the second of a moment, whatever,
Very quick.
right.
Very quickly it can be damaged, right.
Exactly. So trust can be built. It takes a long time to build, but it takes a second to destroy. So let's talk about how trust can be broken.
There's many different ways. I mean, like betrayal is one of the ways that it can be broken, but that covers a wide range of things,
exactly.
right? So
That's a big umbrella.
Exactly. It could be infidelity, it could be financial secrets, or just broken promises. All of those can, hit your relationship with a severe blow and just blow trust right out of the window. And then that's going to be like just chipping away at the foundation that we talked about earlier. We have a strong foundation. We're trying to build.
Always got to have a foundation. You got to have a foundation.
Yep. So chipping away, after a while, you won't have anything. So, you can't build a house if you don't have
a foundation,
a strong foundation.
And once trust is broken, the challenging part is restoring it. Is getting it back.
That's the thing right there, right?
Right. Rebuilding trust after it has been broken requires several key things that people must be willing to do. You have to be remorseful. You have to take accountability of your actions.
Right.
You have to be consistently transparent. Can't hide things, right? Because the trust is already broken.
Right.
And you must have a commitment to rebuild the relationship that you tore apart, right? Like I said, it takes years to build, but it takes a moment for it to be broken down. So as we continue to work with couples, I know Jason and I, this is one area that we struggled in as when our trust was broken in our relationship.
Yeah.
We struggled because we failed to be transparent. Right. So it's hard to talk about the difficult things and be honest and take accountability for your stuff. Sometimes we want to play the blame game when it comes to broken trust.
It's easier to do that.
Right.
Because that way you don't have to face what you're facing.
So most of the time when any of those situations, that broad umbrella of betrayal, whatever falls under there, the thing is that we always want to blame our mate, but we very rarely do we. The first thing is that we're going to take accountability for what we did.
Right.
That's just human nature. We want to blame someone else. So the process that Jason and I went through to restore this was very crucial for us. So we had to be open, be honest, be willing to take accountability in the areas that we did. And I know this has been a very effective. And when we use this with couples, we've been very effective in it and very strategic in it as we're coaching couples. And what we've had is we had a great success track record.
For sure we
in
have.
restoring couples and restoring that trust and transparency in relationships and couples because they thought it was lost forever.
Right.
Y'all must admit, just like we thought it was lost forever, right? But when you do the work, you put in the time and you're committed to your relationship, you can restore the trust and the transparency and come out stronger on the other side.
If you have two willing participants, absolutely. And we were committed to it. That's definitely something that really made the difference in our lives. I mean, like if you don't have trust, you really don't have much of a relationship, right?
Yeah. Or you're going through it half-heartedly.
Exactly. Right.
And so, but what we always say, if there's a willingness and you're willing and you're able and you're committed to it, then there's always a way.
For
right.
Sure.
Mindset and viewpoint are the things that nurture that and support that.
Right.
So let's talk about some of the things that
some of the couples and things that
so let's talk about some stories. So
Sure.
I know when we talked about us, that was one thing with us, but so when we're talking about the wide umbrella, one of the things can be we had a couple that the husband was in charge of all the finances.
Yep.
And he was supposed to take care of all the bills.
Sure.
But he had lost his job.
And we talked about finances, I think, last week.
Yeah, we did. We talked about finances last week. And so one of your things was keeping secrets financially.
Yep.
And so he kept the secret that he had lost his job and he was no longer really paying the bills. And his mate didn't know it. And when it came out, it broke their marriage because if we don't establish trust and transparency in the beginning, then it's things like this where we keep secrets because we don't know how to talk about them. We haven't gained that trust. We're not transparent in it. So we try to hide it and we think that we're doing we're making things better, but we're really doing a disservice to our marriage.
Exactly. So I think what happens is, right, so you're embarrassed about losing employment.
He was embarrassed about losing the employment. He was embarrassed about not being able to handle the bills. So then
you get to a point where you don't tell him, right? Say, okay, I can skate by for so long. I'll find another job. Now you have to pretend. So maybe you're pretending to go to work and all this other stuff, right? Mm-hmm. So then after a while, so much time has passed that now you can't tell them because you're going to have that conversation like, why didn't you tell me before? And so now you're stuck between a rock and a hard place.
And I know in that relationship, what the problem was is that the spouse was like, well, why didn't you just let me know so that we could have handled it before it had gotten too far? And what happened is that the male, like you said, he was embarrassed, or he figured he could, fix it before anybody finds out.
Right.
But part of marriage is understanding that I trust you to do the right thing.
Right.
So when things fall apart, the best thing to do is to be open and honest about it, whereas you have established that connection so that you can work on the problem together instead of now that's a distrust. The trust isn't there. Now, how do we rebuild from here? Because if you lie about that, what else have you lied about? How can I trust you to move forward? How do I know that you're doing what you're supposed to do? And so this is where couples fall into the category. Or I know another big thing when we're dealing with this is accountability. Right? I talked about it. We don't want to take accountability for the actions that we've made, whether it's breaking a promise over and over and over again. And we don't see, well, this happened and that happened.
Well, it's hard to take accountability for something that you don't see that it's
a problem.
That it's a problem. So if it's not a problem,
I think people see it's a problem,
well,
but they just don't want to admit that it's a problem.
Right. So if I won't admit it's a problem, I can't take accountability for it.
That's the whole point of
taking accountability. Right. Because in my eyes, it's not a problem.
Right.
Right. Not in my eyes, but I'm saying in
their people's eyes.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So most of the time, we could even move past the trust issues if the person takes accountability for their actions. That right there opens up the door for, okay, let's reestablish. I take accountability for my actions. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what has happened to us, right? It only matters that we are in a position that we take accountability. Well, I did it because of this, or I did it because of that. When we own our own and your mate sees that, then it opens up the door to rebuild that trust. But if you never open up that door, that trust is never going to be established no matter what. Even if you're doing the same thing or you stop doing it, that trust, that rebuilding it, getting it back, all those years that you've built it in that moment that it was destroyed, you're never going to open that door up if, one, we don't take accountability for our actions.
You know, it's funny, like you said, well, not really funny, but as I'm thinking about it, you take all this time to build up something.
Right.
And within a moment, you can just destroy all of that.
And it takes a long time to get
build it back.
That's right.
Yeah. All
right. So I would say for this, when we're talking about understanding trust and transparency and where we may have lost trust or rebuilding trust, one of the tools that Jason and I use is the trust timeline. So this is where couples create a visual timeline. Visually, you write it out. There's a visual timeline of your relationship.
All right.
You identify the key moments where your relationship was strengthened in trust and where your relationship may have been weakened by trust. Right? Then you discuss how this timeline helps you to maybe see hidden issues that you didn't see before. And so these issues surface because now you're actually visually seeing a timeline of your relationship. And during this era is where, our trust was strengthened. What were we doing then? And during this era is where our trust was weakened because of XYZ. So it allows for a more open conversation in rebuilding trust together.
Right. Not blaming. Not saying that this is where we stopped right here. We were doing fine till you did this, and then we fell off the road.
That's a good point.
It's not that.
We often fall into that where couples, when they're doing this timeline, and the issues are brought to the attention of the other mate, it's always a blame. Well, this is why trust was broken because you did X, Y, Z, and that's not the purpose of the exercise. The purpose of the exercise is to be able to recognize the things where your trust was weakened or broken, and then find the places where it was strengthened so that you can rebuild it in a manner that is conducive to building a stronger foundation, not continually, as Jason said,
Blaming.
breaking down,
Yep.
chipping at the
This
foundation.
is exactly where you went off the road, right here.
Right?
Yeah. I got another exercise for you too.
Okay.
Babe. We like to talk. So
All the time.
Yeah. So we recommend the trust building conversation. We have a whole bunch we got steps, we got roadmaps, we got conversations. So here it is. This is where partners discuss specific actions and behaviors that contribute to trust and agree on steps to reinforce trust in the relationship.
Okay.
So, which is important. It is important for you to know that rebuilding trust is possible. Like Tina
Absolutely.
said before,
Absolutely.
it's possible.
We are living proof that it is possible. Once
You're
trust,
looking at it right here.
That's
Yes.
right. We have walked through the flames of rebuilding our trust and making it stronger than before. Again, as I said before, with the essential tools of it takes remorse, it takes owning your stuff, it takes the commitment to the relationship.
Willingness to change, and it also
Yeah.
takes effort.
Yes.
Right. So we got a question. There you go, baby. I'll let you take that question.
All right. So here is our question. What actions have you taken to rebuild trust in your relationship, and how did they impact your connection to one another? So I'll say that again.
Yep.
What actions have you taken to rebuild your trust in your relationship, and how did they impact your connection?
Okay.
We have a couple of comments. We have Rita saying, "Hey, family."
Hey, Rita.
Hey, how
Thanks
are
for
you?
joining us this Friday.
Yeah.
Happy Friday.
Nancy gave a wave.
Hi,
Bye,
Nancy.
Nancy.
So I'm glad Nancy is here. So
Yeah.
for some reason, we could not see all of the comments last week. So please, if you guys are out there tuning in and you want us to shout you out, please drop your name in the comment. But for some reason, last week and the week before last, we did not see all the comments. So we want to give a shout out to Nancy. Thank you, Nancy, for tuning in every week. We appreciate you. We love you. And we thank you for tuning in. All right.
Was that enough? Did she pay you?
We got James Randall saying, "Very good subject, you guys."
Hey, what's
right,
going
hey,
on, James?
James,
How are
good
you?
to
Thanks
see
for
you.
joining us. We greatly appreciate it.
Yes. Again, thank you for joining us. We truly appreciate it. And again, guys, if you want us to shout you out and say happy Friday, please make sure you drop us a line. Or happy Thursday, happy Tuesday, whether you're watching now or
On the
watching
replay.
on the replay. Drop your name in the comments, and then we will make sure that we shout you out. All right, so now let's discuss we've discussed how trust can be broken. We discussed how it can be restored. So let's shift our focus now to nurturing trust in a relationship. Jason, so what are some proactive ways? We're always talking about reactive. So what are some proactive steps that couples can take to restore trust and intimacy,
Well, first thing is,
or to get trust and intimacy?
well, if you get trust, you're going to get some intimacy.
Trust and transparency.
Right. But I was saying, if you give me if I build some trust, I can get some intimacy.
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
But then I can get some transparency too. But
All of it
that's
comes
just the
together.
byproduct. Yep.
Right.
So the first thing I know we always say, key. Communication is key.
Communication. We say a lot of things.
We do.
Right.
We do say a lot of different things. We have some pillars now.
Right.
The pillars, we can hold up a good, strong foundation. We
That's
can
right.
have a healthy structure because you need that. You need to have all these different pillars in order to build a strong marriage. So first, communication is key.
Right.
But it's not just about talking. So some
Okay.
of us just like to talk. It's not just about talking. It's
Yeah,
about
I know.
active listening as well. Understanding your mate's perspective fosters trust and emotional intimacy. I told you, you get some trust, you get some emotional intimacy. Being honest and working together through tough issues.
That's right. All right. So we know for us as relationship coaches, we understand that shared values, not only as relationship coaches, but as married people, we understand that shared values and goals are crucial, very crucial and very important in building a strong foundation. So with part of that is that you establish resilience in your relationship.
yes.
So now that you've gone through the storm, you're better equipped to either handle those that are come or even avoid other
Sure.
ones. So we're moving, most of the time when you're doing this, you're moving in the same direction. And when you're moving in the same direction as a couple, when you're sharing things, it just naturally grows trust. That trust naturally grows over time. So you're not forcing it, but you're saying, let's start from the foundation up and let's rebuild and let's decide, what do we want our relationship to look like? How are we sharing our dreams and aspirations with one another? How are we sharing our feelings and our deepest desires or our deepest hurts on a level that we can now connect, maybe where we didn't connect before? So making sure that that right there will naturally grow your trust.
Now, don't forget, let's talk about some vulnerability.
All right.
You know, you got to be vulnerable. Being open about your fears and your insecurities.
Fears and insecurities.
Yeah, you looking at me for that one? You see, I had to sit up straight in my chair.
No.
Yeah, so we're going to be open about your fears and insecurities, and we're going to definitely get into that. Can deepen your connection and build a robust foundation of trust.
And I think that's the problem with men. When we talk about that vulnerability, we
Sure.
find that word means so many different things, just like intimacy. That word means so many different things to so many different people. But for men, they feel like being vulnerable means that
We're being weak.
They're being weak.
Yep.
They can't share their feelings. Oh, I'm going to be seen as weak if I
Put my feelings out there, get
Absolutely.
emotional.
Right. Or I've been hurt before.
Right.
So I'm not willing to go into that area
Right.
with another person, whether I'm married to them and know how long, it doesn't matter how long I've been married. That's still an open wound because we've never healed from it. So you've never created that vulnerability, that space between you and your mate where you can actually be open and honest again without being judged. And men may look at it as being weak, but women may look at it actually as, hey, this is a turning point. This is intimate to me. I'm getting to see you in another light. So we have to be careful because we don't all think of the same things in the same way.
Yeah, I think society has done that to us, to men, right? We have to be strong. We're not supposed to. And even, I think, as little boys.
Well,
you know?
society, but it's
I'm
your
just saying,
parent,
upbringing,
it's
right.
your upbringing,
It's
right? It's what you think a
upbringing
man
as well.
or a boy should be,
Exactly. Tough.
right?
Man
built
up.
forward,
Right.
built to last.
Right.
Right.
So
Shout
then
out
that
to
stops
Ford,
you. Right.
right?
So that stops you as you growing up to shut down your feelings. Like when you're talking and you want to go so far, you feel like you might want to shed a tear or you get too emotional, you stop.
Right.
And you just clam up and you're done. And you go maybe walk it off or something like that. But you're not going to show that side of yourself because you're not supposed to.
And that's where most of the issues come in with relationships. Our belief is that for men, they don't have that balance between their feeling and their thinking nature. Everything
sure.
is a thought. How can I think about the next move? How
Yep.
can I think to protect myself? How can I think about this? This is what goes on and this, and this. So they're more they're using more of their
Thought.
intellect,
Yep.
right? It's more of the thought process
Right.
and less of the feeling process. And so they're not allowing their emotions to take place. They're not being in tune or in touch with how they really feel. They're thinking, if I do this, then I'm going to be seen as weak. If I think this way, if I let them know, if I express my feelings, then I may be hurt again. So they're doing more of the thinking, whereas women, sometimes they get too emotional.
Right.
So when we let our feelings rule us, then we can't think straight. We can't stop and think in a very concise manner
Right.
or what may be logical. So when your thinking and feeling nature are unbalanced, then you're not able to be productive in your relationship. That's with anything. There has to be checks and balances.
You have to have balance.
If you think, you can't just be all thinking and no feeling. You can't be all feeling and no thinking. There has to be a happy medium in relationships. And when we're talking about that, that builds trust too. I'm not going to think about how I was hurt before, but now I'm going to think about, this is my mate. I want to establish a trust relationship with them. So how do I do that? Right? How do I get in tune with my feelings so that I can have a balance in our relationship?
And I think that's healthy. Right there, right?
And even women, not
if you
being
can have
too
that healthy
emotional.
balance, it's great, right? We can think and we can feel, and then just one can't be too dominant, than
Right.
the other.
Right.
That causes an issue.
All right, so let's think of another tool. So I know a tool for us would help Jason and I, and for helping couples in this area. We usually introduce and promote the ram in the bush. That's what I like to call it.
I
The
like that.
ram.
Yep, yep.
So it promotes vulnerability. It enhances listening, and it creates a safe space. And those were the three things that we needed in our relationship. So we came up with the ram in the bush, and that stands for restore and maintain. So we knew once we had to reestablish our trust, we had to restore it, and then we had to maintain it. That's like anything. You can't stop doing the things that promote goodness, right? It's like
Right, exactly. No, you
so
can't.
I'm gonna go here. It's like having a plant,
Oh boy.
right? So if you know once you restore it back to its health, you can't just stop doing anything.
Right.
You have to maintain the health of the plant. It's the same thing with your relationship. So once you have restored it back to a healthy relationship and you're constantly moving in that direction to work it, you have to maintain it. And so that's why we call it the ram. That was the ram in the bush for us that helped save our relationship, where it
Oh, I like that. The ram in the bush.
it restored and helped us to maintain our relationship
No.
with a stronger foundation.
All right. Therefore, we are not only rebuilding, but doing the required maintenance once
Absolutely.
it's back up and running. So once we got it back up and running, we said, okay, we got to maintain this thing. We don't want to go back. All right. So we made strides as individuals to get to this point, to build trust, to build transparency, to build that openness. So now we just need to maintain, check in, and do things like that. So we'll get into that in just a little bit. It involves mirroring, validating,
Definitely.
empathizing with your partner's
We
feelings.
talk about that a lot, right? Empathy. The
Yep.
importance of empathy.
Yep.
Not just seeing things from my point of view, right? But
Yeah.
putting myself in my partner's view. How do they see it?
Yeah.
How may they view it? How is it affecting them? Not just about me.
And if you do that, the way you communicate would be different, because you're really caring about the person's feelings, because
Right.
you can basically, if you're seeing it from their point of view, you feel what they feel.
And then you don't feel attacked. Couples don't feel attacked or your mate doesn't feel attacked when you're empathizing with them. So now you're actually nourishing an opportunity to reevaluate and rebuild trust.
All right. So now we go to how we build on that, what we do here.
All right. Let's hit him with another technique.
I got one.
All right.
I got one.
All right.
All right, here we usually suggest the weekly check-in is where couples set aside dedicated time to discuss their feelings,
Feelings.
concerns, and their goals.
Okay.
All right? Their feelings, concerns, and goals. This consistent practice creates a safe space for transparency, making it
Transparency.
transparency.
You got to correct me because when my tongue gets tired. Okay, go ahead. For transparency.
Making it easier for partners to share their thoughts and feelings, thus again nurturing trust over time, which is why we're here, to regain and restore trust.
That's it.
Now, so that's one strategy. So weekly check-ins, that's you. Another strategy could be, let's create a plan, outlining specific steps. We're always writing something, right? Create a plan, create specific steps, behaviors to rebuild trust after a breach. Now,
That's
here's
right.
some important strategies.
And I think part of that is that when we are rebuilding, we have to know what didn't work before and don't put that into the mix again.
Woo.
All right.
Yep.
So we always talk about that they must, again, practice honesty.
Wow.
Right.
You know, that's almost like an oxymoron. Practice honesty.
Right. People don't realize that you have to practice it because
We lie
lying,
so much as a people.
lying comes so natural.
Right.
We just always want to protect ourselves. But practicing honesty means that in the face of a challenge, I'm going to do the right thing and be honest. We're going to build this together. And in order to do that, we have to start practicing ways to be honest. Not the little white lies or black lies or yellow lies or blue lies, but actually practicing honesty.
Woo. All right, I got one for you. Be truthful. I don't know. You know, it just seemed, I mean, like, you know what? These things seem kind of funny to practice honesty and then to be truthful.
Yeah. Yep.
even when it's uncomfortable or difficult for you.
And that's the thing about being truthful. And that's where it differs with honesty, because we know something. We want to hide it, but we want to tell the truth. And so being truthful means that this is a difficult thing. This is hard for me to say. So I'm going to say it anyway. Right? So that's what we mean by being truthful. Being truthful, or even when your mate asks you and your first attempt is to lie. Right?
Yep.
Stop, think,
And be
stop,
honest.
drop, and roll.
Stop, drop, and be honest.
Or be truthful. If they ask you a question, be truthful. Don't give half the truth. Don't give some of the truth. Don't leave out the most important part where it would decipher what the truth is.
Okay.
Be truthful.
All right.
Right? So you have to be consistent. Another thing that we also suggest is being consistent in your reliability. Reliability is important in a lot of, you would be surprised how people come and they're just not reliable. Your mate says they're going to do something, then they don't. Right? So demonstrate that you can be counted on. If you say you're going to do something, do it. If you say you're going to follow up, follow up. If you say you're not going to do something, then don't do it. Don't make excuses, because that only puts us back in the boat of broken trust.
This will only delay or destroy trust.
That's what it does.
Now, we're taking all this time to try to build it back up.
Yep.
And if you start to build it up, and then you start to have some untruths, don't be so honest, then you're gonna tear it back down. So let's be honest and let's be truthful, because this will only delay and destroy trust. Both partners should be intentional and communicate issues without breaking promises or commitments. Now, be a man or woman of your word. If you say you're going to commit to something, then commit to it. Be there, do what you say you're going to do.
And that may be hard. So for those couples that we know that that's an issue, practicing what they say they're going to do, it's hard for them, but there's tools and techniques to help you. So again, if you struggle in any of these areas, you have to find ways to overcome the problem that caused the trust in the first place.
Yep.
And so you have to, again, be committed to the relationship, which means that you're willing to do something different than you've done before. So let's get you a question out here.
Yes.
All right. So here's one of my questions. All right. Here's a question for our listeners to reflect on. All right. In what ways do you actively nurture trust in your relationship? Right? Are these areas, wait a minute. Are there areas where you could improve? So, in what ways do you actively nurture trust in your relationship? And are there areas where you can improve? So, again, I talked about the plant, right? So, once you restore your plant, this is an area where we never think about nurturing.
Okay.
When we talk about nurturing, do you nurture trust in your relationship? Which means that you say, wow, this, our trust thing is good. How can I find more ways to continue to build trust?
Right.
Or this may be an area in our relationship where trust is a little weak. What can I do to nurture to correct the problem?
Right.
And so I go back to plants, right? If we don't nurture our plants, they're going to die. So if we're doing things that's making them live, then we would continue to do more of that, and then we would be proactive.
Yep.
Right? But if we see that our plant is dying along with our relationship, how can I nurture it? Do we think of being proactive in areas of trust and transparency, either after it's broken or before it's broken? How can we be proactive? How can we nurture it? And if it's already broken, how can we strengthen those areas where trust may be a little weak? So we don't ever think about nurturing things in that manner.
That's true. That's one of those good words, right? Nurturing your relationship.
Yes.
And I know we use a lot in a lot of our writings and stuff. Nurturing your relationship. So just like you have to nurture that plant back to life.
Exactly.
You know some of the steps that you need to take. But do you know those steps in your relationship?
Instead of focusing on the areas that are wrong, now we need to shift our perspective in the area of this is what the issue is. I'm not going to focus on the issue. I'm going to focus on how can I nurture that area so that I can start promoting healthy relationships. So I can start nurturing, rebuilding trust. How can I nurture my mate and my relationship moving into an area where our foundation is pretty strong, right? Strong. Getting a strong foundation.
It's a strong foundation. You
Right.
got to have a strong foundation, baby.
All right. So I know Jason talked about vulnerability. That also goes back to being vulnerable. How do I nurture this? What am I doing wrong?
How do you know, I'm glad you brought that up, but how do you, it's more of a hypothetical, how do you nurture maybe a male to be okay with being vulnerable? You know?
I don't know. You tell me. How do you nurture a male?
Right. To be vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
So for a male, I'm glad you asked this question.
Me too. Go ahead.
Yeah, for a male, just let them know that it's okay. That you know when a person is starting to get emotional, right? And say, look, it's okay. I'm here. I support you. You don't have to worry about your feelings. I love you, right? We're in this together. So you just create that safe space. So just like nurturing back the plant, bringing the plant back to life, you have to give them a safe space to do that. You got to give them a lot of sunlight and stuff like that. So let them know that, hey, look, I love you. I'm here. I don't say, what are you crying for?
And I think,
be strong. I mean, you have to watch your words and you should be loving during that particular time because it's a very crucial time, especially for a male when he wants to be vulnerable, but it's not safe for him to do so.
yeah, and I know that it's not always the male. So when we're just talking about people who find being vulnerable hard, whether because of past hurts or because they have never really opened themselves up to be hurt, right? So when we're talking about being vulnerable, we have to understand that in that moment, we have, as we said, you have to be able to have the tools and techniques and the coaching or the assistance and how to move into that space, right? Just don't try to do it on your own because if you knew how, you wouldn't be there. But vulnerability is an area where you allow that person to know it's okay. And I guess that's what, going back on what you were saying is that you have to be able to let them know, hey, it's okay.
Right.
You're vulnerable. You're safe here with me.
Yep.
This is a place where you can be open and honest and tap into your feelings without feeling
Judgment.
like you need to run away or you need to hide I just need to leave because I'm getting too emotional. That means that your emotions are something that it's an awareness that you need to tap into that side. So creating that safe space takes steps. It takes tools. It takes time. But you have to be able to let that person know that whatever is shared, it's okay.
Yep.
Right? It's okay to be emotional. It's okay to share right now. It's okay to show me your true authenticity of who you are. And so and I know it may be hard because, like I said, it may be hard for men, but it's a lot of people.
Well, I mean, people that struggle with emotion, right?
Or vulnerability.
Right.
Absolutely.
So don't bring it back up, don't throw it back up in their face in a heated argument or something. So just, if you're going to create a safe space, it has to stay there, right? You don't bring it back up and throw it back in someone's face or bring it up just to hurt them because you know it will. So
yeah, so we have to be very, and if you do that, you can forget
information.
And I think that's rebuilding, right? We have to understand that if that has been the MO of our relationship, that is going to take more time because that person has been hurt.
Sure.
Whenever I share something with you, I find that it comes back up. So that's an area we have to be able, like we said, we have to be able to see the areas in our relationship that don't work and how do we fix those areas? How do we restore those areas and then maintain something healthier, right? So creating lasting relationship begins with the realization that the more you share and the more you connect, right? The more we feel together, the more we feel one, the less likely that your mate or you are going to feel unworthy, unloved, or unappreciated.
Yeah, because everyone in the marriage matters. Period.
Absolutely. Marriage only usually consists of two people. But there's others, but everyone, whether it's 2, 4, or 18,
we're speaking of 2 right now. So,
everyone in the marriage matters. Everyone. That also includes kids or bonus kids.
Yep.
Bonus bonus exes, right? Everybody in the marriage matters. We have to make sure that everybody understands their place. As we talked about boundaries, we have to have boundaries. We have to be able to have conversations, open conversations. We also have to be able to create a space for anyone to share.
For sure.
Anyone to share.
Especially the children.
And if you have an ex that's sharing with your child and your child doesn't feel safe enough to share with you, then that right there, that creates turmoil in your relationship that doesn't need to be there because that trust hasn't been established. So let us be clear about this. When we're talking about trust, it's not just with husband and wife. It can be with your kids. It can be any trust. I know when a friend of mine broke my trust, it was devastating for me. It was truly devastating for me. And so it scarred me, whereas I wasn't so easily to trust people in the future.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about trust, it can be in any area of a relationship, but mostly the most important thing right here now, what we're talking about is in a
romantic.
Thank you. That was the word, romantic relationship.
Oh, I like that. Now, these are just a few examples, and there are numerous other evidence-based approaches.
Yes.
Used by
Tools,
relationship
techniques,
experts,
absolutely.
coaches like ourselves. If your goal is to have a better relationship, then all you need to do is be coached on how to do it and become the best player on your team.
That's right. Put me in, coach. I'm ready to play. Right?
That way you can show that you can show up as the best possible version of yourself.
And that's the ultimate goal, right?
Yes.
Showing up in our relationships as the best possible versions of ourselves. Not half-cocked. Right. I'm going to give you half because you're giving me half. I'm not going to do everything because you're doing nothing. So, or vice versa. Right. We want to show up as the best versions of ourselves, which means that we have to be aware in the areas where we lack, and we need to show up better and not point the finger at our mate. They'll catch on. And trust me, once you learn how to effectively communicate, then those areas that you may see that may be challenging for them, they can come back and fix them.
For sure. All right, one more question before we get out of here.
All right.
One final question.
One more question.
What steps will you take today to enhance trust and transparency, and I'm about to say intimacy, and transparency in your marriage? What steps will you take today to enhance trust and transparency in your marriage? Now, you know.
Trust and transparency in your marriage. So what can you do? How can we nurture it? What can you do to enhance it? If it's already good, how can you make it better so that you don't fall astray to somebody penetrating that, infiltrating that? Come on, guys, give me some words.
Yep.
You know.
Trying to break that up.
Right. So you don't want to stop doing the good things.
Right.
You want to continue to build on trust. Like I said, if your plant is doing well, you don't want to just stop watering it because it's doing well. It's just like you want to water your relationship. You want to continue to do the things that enhances it, and you want to get rid of the things that's killing it.
All right. Yeah, there you go, baby.
All right. So let's go through the recap if we could. So in this episode, we went over what is trust and transparency. Understanding that trust is a very delicate nature. Trust is very delicate, so you have to be careful that it takes a lot to build it and a little bit to break it. Then we focused on bringing you proactive steps to nurture trust and transparency, along with some tools, some exercises, some questions, and we ended some steps. And we ended each section with some really questions that we want you to ask yourself about your relationship. You may not want to share your answers, but I think that oftentimes we want to pose questions to you that provokes thinking.
Yes.
What am I doing in my relationship? Am I nurturing my relationship? Am I enhancing it, or am I tearing it down? Am I promoting trust, or am I opening up an opportunity for trust to be broken? So all of these things are important when we're talking about our relationship. We have to be proactive. We talk about cruise control. You have to do your maintenance. So remember that building trust is an ongoing process.
Yes.
You don't do it once and it's gone. Right? If you keep doing it and you keep maintaining it and you keep doing the right things and you keep getting your oil changed and all those other things we talked about, the investment is worth the dividends. That's what's important. Your relationship is worth it.
It sure is. Now, if you found this discussion helpful, please subscribe, share, or join our social media community at Legendary Relationship. We're here to support you on your journey to a stronger relationship.
For sure.
Yep, we are here.
That's right.
Well, I guess that wraps up this week's episode. Until next time, this is Jason and Tina Marie.
So you sure you Jason?
I said Jason.
Okay.
I leaned towards you, but I pointed to you.
Okay. All right. Jason
And Tina Marie.
All right.
Yep. Till next time, guys. Remember, love unveiled is love strengthened.
And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to strengthen our relationships through love.
Listeners, don't forget to share your experiences with us, in the replay or, later on in the comments. We really appreciate that. And with that,
so make sure that it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't matter if you have a question or a topic that you would like for us to cover.
Yeah,
just drop it on the comments. Send us a DM, or you can email us at info@legendaryrelationship.com. However you find the way to contact, you can go share, subscribe, and follow.
There you go.
There you go. And then you can be part of our tribe. So there's plenty of ways to connect with us, to let us know about the issues in your relationships that you would like for us to cover.
All right. And with that, I think that ends another episode, a fantastic episode. I think it was a fantastic episode of Love and Beyond the I Do podcast. We are the dynamic duo in marriage. And as always, we're in it to win it. Till next week, guys.
Love you guys. Have a great weekend.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Love and Beyond the I Do podcast. Head over to iTunes to subscribe and leave a review. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Legendary Relationship, or visit our website at legendaryrelationship.com. Till next time, remember to make every day count.